The only thing that I regret in all of this is that two black groups have to fight and kill each other off. Elijah Muhammad could stop the whole thing tomorrow just by raising his hand. Really, he could. He could stop the whole thing by raising his hand. But he won't. He doesn't love black people. He doesn't even love his own followers. Proof of which they're killing each other. They killed one in the Bronx. They shot another one in the Bronx. They tried to get 6 of us Sunday morning. And the pattern has developed across the country. The man has gone insane. Absolutely out of his mind. Besides, you can't be 70 years old and surround yourself by a handful of 16, 17, 18-year-old girls and keep your right mind.
Hey everybody, welcome to the 1804 show, chapter 2. I'm your host, Dollar Will, and this is another episode of 1804 History. Hit that like button, and please subscribe to the channel, the 1804 show, chapter 2. Now let's begin. So I wanted to talk about Malcolm X, and this year marks 60 years since it happened. And to be honest with you, it still upsets me how it all played out. From Malcolm X, from his family, from the people who was accused of it, everything. When you really sit and just take it all in, it's completely devastating. I had to do this video days prior because if I try to do it on the 21st, I probably wouldn't have been able to do it without crying. Because 60 years ago wasn't that long ago. And when you really think about it, that's some of our parents' ages today. And you can't help but to feel saddened by a man who was murdered in front of his pregnant wife and his daughters. You know, having to see all of that at a young age is traumatizing. And the ones who grew up and have grown up seeing that and still became pleasant, caring, loving, are true queens. You know, it just really wakes you up. It just shows you that you have to be grateful to have came from a normal, healthy upbringing. They didn't get the opportunity to have a dad. You know, they just had a mom. But yet, their mom continued to live on and be a mother to them. And nobody really sit back and think about everything that she had to endure, that she went through, and how much of an impact that fell on her, seeing your husband get killed in front of you.
Perhaps now should take over the leadership of the black Muslims.
No, I have no desire to take over the leadership of the black Muslims, and I have never had that desire.
Are you not perhaps afraid of what might happen to you as a result of making these revelations?
Oh, yes. I probably am a dead man.
Empathy. It was more like he got what he deserved and he got what he asked for. That's what the newspapers insinuating or insinuated. And it's scary, It's a scary thing because this man didn't do nothing wrong. He didn't commit no crimes. All he did was speak. And he got killed for that. He got penalized for speaking. And society, America, is afraid of a black man that's educated, that's intelligent, that's charismatic, that's fearless. And I would never disrespect any of my elders because of those particular reasons. And now in 2025, who am I to not pass the torch down to the youth about how great they are and how powerful their bloodline is and who they are in this world? Because they wanted to get him out the way by any means, and all Malcolm wanted to do was teach us to love ourselves and teach us about religion, teach us about sticking together. But yet it was our own people that did this to him, and our own people didn't protect him. Our own people allow him to be killed. And all those people that was there, it was over 400 people there, and they just allowed his killers to go outside. Maybe it was because of fear, but I would have stood up if that was me. I would at least have died protecting Malcolm X. It's just so much pain that I get from watching it, hearing about it, reading about it. Like, this man was on countless surveillance. There's so many FBI reports on Malcolm X, and they knew what was going to happen. It was more police presence at his funeral than that day. And they allowed that to happen. I'm sorry, y'all. This is too much for me, but I'm getting there. But yeah, it's just, you can't help but to think about just who all knew this was going to happen and did nothing about it. They had to shoot him 18 times. And you just sit back, you think like, it was overkill. Was that necessary? And you could tell just by how they handled everything. Arrested 2 men who had nothing to do with it because they was in town. They was in Harlem. But yet, the real killers came from Newark, New Jersey. And they allowed them to get away. They knew who truly did it, but yet these 2 men who were arrested and tried for the murder was taken from their families for 20 years. And they was innocent. It's just really sickening, and it's really unfortunate that this continues to happen. No evidence, no witnesses. It was all a ploy to close the case as quickly as possible because they didn't want to deal with it. And this is what goes on in America every day. From both parts of the spectrum. And you have the audacity to try to ruin his legacy. It's been people of color doing this, try to paint false narratives like he was angry and that he was a thug, that he was preaching hate, but they would have not survived the civil rights movement. And Elijah Muhammad is complicit. The FBI was definitely complicit. The police department was complicit. A whole lot of people were. But yet, he didn't run. He didn't go into exile. He stuck it out. And he felt like if it was him, then let it be him and not his family. Like they literally tried to blow his house up while he was in with his family. But luckily nobody were injured, nobody got killed. All that happened a week prior to the assassination. And we gotta ask ourselves, like, who could have done that? Well, we would never know. But even after that, that just shows the strength of a man who's willing to die for what he believes in and was courageous to the end. Because when that shotgun guy, William X. Bradley, came up to him and shot him, he stood there and took it like a G. But I believe he was tired. He just wanted people to get it over with. And I tried my best to live my life as righteous as possible. I really try to understand that people died for us. They died for me to be able to have the opportunities that I have now as a citizen in the United States. And that's why I make sure I don't treat it as if it's a birthright, but it's a privilege to be able to go where you want to go, do what you want to do, and then just apply pressure to your dreams. To be able to reinvent yourself. So many people don't want to do that. They just rather be lazy, rather fit in. But the importance of all of this is just to make sure you stand out and make sure you stand up for what you believe in and being strong in the midst of it and being able to face criticism, all of that. And Malcolm X will always be one of my heroes because he stood on business. He stood on principles. He tried to get back into the nation, but they didn't want him because they was hating on him. To them, he wasn't supposed to be the guy. He was supposed to be like them. He was supposed to be a meat rider like the rest of them. But he was so great to the point of they had no choice but to recognize him and to big him up in the press. And he was too powerful. it was destined for him to be who he was, just like his dad. And that's just scary how not only he was assassinated, but he was assassinated as like his father. And that's just really like the similarities of it. And I did a video on that myself, but it just be too much. Like, they didn't want to solve this case. They didn't want justice for him. And it took over 50 years to really find out who did it. And that's the saddest part of it all. For real. And I just want for everybody to understand, like, 60 years wasn't that long ago. And nothing has truly changed. Because people don't want to be leaders because they killed all the leaders. But he had got it the worst. And people still don't put him as a hero. But I do. Not only he was a messenger, but he was a prophet. He spoke a lot of things that's still relevant today. And I will always have nothing but the utmost respect for this great man and his family and his generations to come. But yeah, I'm out, y'all. Have a good night. Subscribe to the channel. Please support me as I support you. Thank you, and have a blessed day. Peace.
I wanted you to know that my house was bombed. It was bombed by the black Muslim movement upon the orders of Elijah Muhammad. Now, they had come around, so they had planned to do it from the front and the back so that I couldn't get out. They covered the front completely, the front door. Then they had come to the back, but instead of getting in directly in the back of the house and throwing it this way, they stood at a 45-degree angle and tossed it at the window so it glanced and went onto the ground. And the fire hit the window, and it woke up my second oldest baby. But the fire burned on the outside of the house. But had that one gone through that window, it would have fallen on a 6-year-old girl, a 4-year-old girl, and a 2-year-old girl. And I'm going to tell you, if it had done it, I'd taken my rifle and gone after anybody in sight. I would not wait. And I say that because of this. The police know the criminal operation of the black Muslim movement because they have thoroughly infiltrated it.
The Muslims claim that you bombed your own house.
That's what I said. The Muslims claim I bombed my house.
Because they say it's rightfully there.
Yeah. No, well, you can take what you want. The arson squad, the fire marshal, all of them are experts in this kind of thing. And if anybody can find where I bombed my house, they can put a rifle bullet through my head. It was my children and my own life and my wife's life that was at stake.